Oops. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Um, Let us know if you can hear us. It's so awesome to be here with you. We are doing a Q&A live stream today with Elliot from Hooded Horse. My name is Luke. I'm Eremite Games Community Manager. And this is Aron, our producer. Elliot, can you share a little bit more about yourself?
Thanks, Luke. And hi, Aaron. My name is Elliot. I'm part of Hooded Horse as the Director of Community and Social Strategy. Uh, so excited for today that we got to share the upcoming 1.0 announced date and the new trailer. So, how do you guys feel?
A little bit tired, but super happy that the news is out. We've only knew this is going to happen for a few days, and so we were
Yeah.
super happy to share that December 8th is the date. So why don't we show the new release date trailer with a little surprise
Yeah.
at the end? If you watched it before, then you know what the surprise is. If not, have a great time watching the new trailer we've made. Okay.
This is Against the Storm, a roguelite city builder where every settlement presents you with different challenges. Things start out pretty familiar. A blank canvas you need to turn into a thriving economy. Send your villagers out to gather resources, set up basic logistics, and construct buildings that will form complex supply chains. Except, you'll only have a subset of all buildings on each run, and there's no guarantee you'll encounter the same resources twice when exploring procedurally generated maps. You can't force your way to victory by repeating the same strategy over and over again. You must adapt. Various production buildings can manufacture the same goods, but at varying efficiencies, while each species excels at different tasks. There's always a way out of a tight spot. Barter with traders, or please the old gods by sacrificing your villagers. To convince the queen that your settlement is self-sufficient, you must fulfill her orders, venture into the ominous forest, or win your people's hearts. If you succeed, you will be rewarded with resources to spend on a variety of permanent upgrades, and then move on to the next settlement. With hundreds of gameplay modifiers and 6 distinct biomes, every run presents a new puzzle to solve. So, on to the next one? A new challenge always awaits in Against the Storm. Coming December 8th.
Okay, so that was the news. The game is coming to Steam, GOG, Epic Game Store, and PC Game Pass on December 8th. We are super happy to welcome PC Game Pass players into our community. We're super excited to hear your feedback when you get to play the game, and super happy that you will be able to play the game if you have the PC Game Pass subscription. That's super cool, and we're very happy that we can offer the game to more players. So December 8th on the 3 major platforms plus new one, PC Game Pass. There will be a release, a launch discount, and the game will also be included in the upcoming autumn sale, I believe. So those of you who are watching this know that you can get it a little bit cheaper in a few days. But other than that, we don't plan any price increase on the 1.0 release. So if you need some more time to consider, that's also fine. I see that we already have plenty of questions in the chat. I'm super grateful for that. This is what we are here for today, to answer all your questions. Elliot will be the moderator. Once again,
Yeah.
Elliot from Hooded Horse. So please take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I want to say is congratulations on the upcoming release date and obviously being on PC Game Pass. That's a huge deal for you guys. We're so excited for it. I also heard a brand new voice in the trailer.
Yeah,
Right?
we've been experimenting with new new people to voice the narrators of our trailers. Previously, it was Tim, Scott, Eliza, and now also Michelle Sandholm, I believe. It was super fun to cooperate with her. This was a little bit different approach with this trailer this time. Probably for many of people who are watching, who are with us on the stream, it all felt pretty familiar. Like, okay, yeah, we've done it plenty of times. We know what the game is about. But as we're launching on PC Game Pass, we expect that there will be new players coming. So this is something for them to understand what the game is about. The game is about killing your 2 villagers when you only have 6 left, as someone pointed in the chat. Yeah, don't do that. But there's always a way out. We're very excited to also launch this kind of trailer. There will also be one more for the full launch, but you all been there many times, and we are happy you've been playing the game in early access for so long. Some of you've been with us since the day the game came out, or even when the first demo came out, and we're super happy that you're still supporting us, being here with us.
And the funny thing is that yesterday marks the 4-year mark of the first line of code of the game. So
yeah, that was November 19th.
Wow.
Yeah. So 4 years, right? 4 years. 4 years.
4 years.
The game looked
very
different back then. Yeah. I wish I downloaded some videos for you, but we'll share it.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll do something between now and the launch, just to kind of do a recap of the journey you guys have done. And like, how do you guys feel with the fact that like 1.0 is just right on the corner? You mentioned 4 years, like in a few weeks, like you're gonna have a fully launched game. Like, how's that feel for you guys?
A bit overwhelming, honestly. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot on our heads, but it's very exciting times. We're only sad that we can't be more active here and there like we used to, but I believe everything will get back to normal a few days after launch. So there will be able to keep track of everything. But other than that, it's very exciting. And we're super happy.
It's a bit surreal because like 4 years is a long time, but it also feels like a very short time. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's like at the same time it was a long journey, but at the same time it feels like it was just yesterday when we started making the game. So.
Yeah, especially that the first 2 years the game was being developed after hours mainly by you guys, and then we started like full time only 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that. Okay, I know we have a lot of questions. We received them on Discord. So Elliot, do you have a list?
Yeah, let's get started. So I'm just going to be upfront right here. If I butcher someone's username, we apologize well in advance. It's obviously, people have unique usernames. We can't pronounce everything right, but we'll try to associate whoever asked the question. But yeah, huge thank you to the community for giving us the questions. And let's get started. So this one comes from Churlity and typing NDD. Does the team have a favorite mechanic idea that you'd love to have in the game, but couldn't really quite figure out how to design to fit the game, or any current mechanic you'd love to revisit down the road?
So I asked my team members about it earlier today, and Aron was like, nah, everything's fine. There's nothing. But then when we started talking, there are a couple things that we'd like, that if we had time, or more ideas and more time to experiment. There are a couple of places where the game could be better in our opinion. Mainly the houses. I mean, we've been experimenting a lot with housing. And there was once we even released one of the most hated updates with when villagers had to go back to their homes to fulfill their needs, and it sounded great in our minds, but then it led to horrible micromanagement, because the when you play against the storm, you move your camps a lot. That's a part of the game. You will be moving your camps a lot.
Yeah.
So if villagers need to go take a break, it is the most optimal way to place the houses near the camps. And as you move camps around, you will be also moving the houses around. But the houses, you need to delete them first, move them. And so people were trying to micromanage it too much. Like it was not fun. It didn't work out. We were quite sad because we had some hopes.
Yeah, because that's one of the main promises of a city builder. You want to see your peeps walking from building to building, and just going about their routines. And we didn't have a clear idea how to do that for the game, because there is also so many mechanics that pull you in different directions and against the storm that force you at some point to plan your city in a different way than in normal city builders. So we experimented with it. We did like the update, as Luke said. We did some experimental branches for that. Nothing really worked. So I think that's one point where we would like to have more time for it, but the development speed wasn't really slowing down, so we had to abandon it eventually.
And also the decorations aspect. Like for the long time, decorations were pretty useless in the game. They were like you could build them, but why? It's not a game. It wasn't a game about building a beautiful city. It's a game about surviving in the wild. So decorations for a long time were just some optional thing for people who have too much money, who already like won the game probably, and can spend a lot of planks to build something extra. Then
we added the hearth system for decorations, and it was a good solution, but at the same time it didn't really fulfill the promise of building nice looking cities, because you could just tag the decorations on one place. But I think aside from that, we didn't really have like one big feature that we wanted really for it to make it into the game. There's always like this question, we wanted to have more species, more biomes, but that's a content issue, that's something else. But in terms of like big features, big mechanics, I think most of the things we wanted really to have, we have them, at least to some degree.
Yeah. Then also going back to those decorations, it's also fine if people don't want to place decorations, and we don't want to force them to do it. So you only need like a couple of those, and then we also added those to like 4-tile decorations, like garden, a park. They look nice, and if you don't want to decorate your city, you can place those. Maybe there will be more in the future. I don't know.
The main idea here was basically we didn't have a feature in mind that we wanted to make it into a game, but we had a problem in mind that we want people to build prettier cities, and that's a difficult problem to solve with just one system.
Yeah. So I think that's it. The building, the housing and decorations, those are the two areas that we experimented a lot with. And we didn't come to like a super satisfactory conclusion. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Alkawin asks, which species is your favorite? And in brackets, they said, and why is it Zorg?
Zorg.
Close bracket.
Yeah, Zorg. Frogs are the best. They're not playable, but they're the best.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true. Frogs are awesome. Zorg is voiced by Damian, our graphic designer. Damian took acting class specifically to play Zorg.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's I'm telling it a bit as a joke, but it's not a joke. Damian took acting classes before that, and then he voiced Zorg. He put a lot of passion into him and a lot of thought into those funny sentences he says. Me. Yeah. Frogs are awesome. You didn't see, but we also had some internal concepts for other species, and there was one I particularly liked, but it didn't even get to a public part. We didn't even let people vote for it, but it was cool. Maybe
but tell us
someday.
what was
Scolopend.
Now I wanna
How do
hear
you call
about
it?
it.
Scolopend.
like an
Scolopend.
insect race, yeah.
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 Ah, it
Oh,
was
okay.
cool. It was cool.
I think Telhurin, his favorite species are lizards because no one likes them, so he likes them.
For a long
Um,
time, people didn't like lizards because they were
yeah,
more.
yeah. I think
useless.
harpies are less liked right now. I mean, by some players. Yeah, but
Harpies are most controversial. You
yeah,
either love them or hate them.
yeah.
Like there's
That's
no
true.
there's no between.
All right.
You need to have
Um,
an opinion about harpies.
Well, the chat seems they definitely love the frogs, but there's a little bit of a back and forth with the lizards
Yeah.
and harpies.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Some for a long time harpies were called prima donna chickens.
Prima donna chickens.
all right.
Harpies will remember that.
Shadyon Koopa says one of the reasons they fell in love with the game to begin with is the incredible soundtrack, which I also agree is an amazing soundtrack. They want to know like what is your favorite track on the OST?
There's only one for me, like Windless, like absolute winner, Windless. It's on the new new OST, the one we released when Ancient Seals went out, the Ancient Seals update. So we released a mini album with only 6 tracks, and Windless was, I think, the second of those. And so this is my favorite one. And I also asked Damian. Damian also thinks Windless or Lustrous those are his favorite ones. Aron, what's yours?
Harvest Time all the way
Yeah.
from the original OST, and from the new one, it's I think Expectations. Yeah.
And if you're curious, I also asked Mikołaj, the game's sound producer and a soundtrack composer, and his favorite track is Scorched Queen.
Yeah.
So this is
Okay.
favorite track of the composer. And since we've been asked this question a lot, I will also say that we plan to release the full soundtrack with all the tracks we added during early access on Spotify. It will also be available. So if there are a lot of tracks missing on the Spotify album that we released before. I think like we only released on Spotify a half of all the
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah.
So soon you will get another big dose of Against the Soundtrack.
there's a lot of
Amazing.
new tracks. Yeah.
Well, everyone, you heard that. You guys can now do what you want to do and listen to the track and be able to vibe and chill with that, which I am very much looking forward to. Someone in chat asked if you can hum a bit of your favorite song.
Oh,
if at
no.
all.
Better not.
No chance.
All right. We'll move
I'm
on.
sorry. You're gonna leave the stream then when you sing something.
I remember saying one day I had to go to the dentist and I had a toothache, a horrible toothache, and I went back and was sad and grabbed my cat. We were hugging and I played Windless and everything felt better.
Okay.
This is
That's great to
Windless.
hear.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on back to talking about buildings and such. DVT wants to ask, which building took the longest to design, develop, and put into the game?
Harf.
Yeah, Ancient Hearth. You can't imagine how long it took to redesign Ancient Hearth, because at the beginning it was like a ruin. Some of you might remember. It wasn't always this big dragon turtle thingy. It was a ruin with a fireplace inside it,
Yeah.
and it didn't have a roof. And so for a very long time, people were like asking, how does it make sense? It keeps raining in this world. Why the main building with a fireplace has no roof over it? What's the point of this building? And so we spent a lot of time. I think we had too much time because usually when in those bi-weekly update cadence, we usually have there's not much time to overthink. And with Ancient Hearth, we somehow, Damian was more had more time than usual. So he spent a lot of time designing concepts for the ancient harp. We had like 20, 30 different
And
ideas.
we didn't help him either because we were just like pulling in different directions with the design of the harp. Everybody had their own idea about it.
Yeah,
it was difficult.
Very different designs, like some towers, some.
There was like a clockwork thing.
A living creature, like one of those wildfires.
Like a golem and so on. Yeah.
So many different ideas.
But
and so many constraints. Like we put a lot of constraints on Diamond. Like this building has to serve this and this and this purpose. It cannot be this and this. And I don't think it was possible to design like the perfect harp.
Some lore behind it we wanted to keep. So it was difficult because all the other buildings are pretty easy to create. We have a special pipeline for all the production buildings, the homes, and so on. So as soon as we have some of the basic art in the game, we can create a lot of buildings pretty quickly. But the harp was very unique in that case.
Mm-hmm. I see one comment. Would have been cool if the harp changed designs based on species.
That was an idea,
and that was also one of the ideas. But
it was supposed to change shape, but it was too much for the short because we spent so much time designing it, and then when we were to release it, the time ran out pretty quickly. So once we settled on a design, we had to push it out.
Yeah.
Right, and that's actually a good pivot for a couple questions we had later on that we're going to ask, but I think it's a good time to mention. As developers, you guys did a 2-week update cycle for the game, especially for a game this size, is pretty ambitious, to say the least. Especially considering the low amount of bugs that a lot of the players ran into. Like, what kind of tooling do you use to achieve this? Like, are you guys doing automated testing? Like, how did you guys achieve this? And this comes from Penilia and Slymar asking this question.
We don't really have automated testing in the game. We do it in-house by hand. Everyone chips in, plays the game before an update.
We also have a large community who helps us every time we release update. There were experimental updates, and so we also have a very dedicated community who helps a lot.
And Friday is hotfix day basically, which thanks to the community we can fix everything just before it stays too long on the production branch.
So there's no automated testing, but Telhurin, Michał, the lead designer and programmer, put a lot of effort at the very beginning of developing the game to create tools for us, not for me. I don't do any coding or anything.
Same with me.
But for the team, so that they can add new content with less of programmer effort.
The game is designed in such a way that we have some underlying systems which are a hell to work with for modders, but a very pleasant experience for us. So it works a bit like we have an editor in-house where we can create buildings, perks very easily. Everything works a bit like visual scripting, but not really. And it just helps us to have a very pleasant experience when designing stuff. So even the bugs, when we have some bugs in the game, the different features and mechanics and the systems in the game are so prevalent in all other aspects of the game that if you find a bug somewhere and we know about it, then that means that probably other instances of a similar mechanic will be fixed at the same time because it's so interconnected and it's all uses similar systems basically. But it's going back to the question. We test our update schedule is basically divided into 2 parts. The first week is ideas, putting in content, working with some creative stuff, and the second week is basically text lock, where we send out the text to be translated by some agencies, and that's the time when we can't add anything new to the game. We only can refine what is there and test what is there that doesn't require text, for example. So it puts a nice rhythm to all this. But after such a long time, it's hard to keep that pace up. But we were doing pretty well, I think.
We never skipped a date.
Never skipped.
Even if it was national holiday
Yeah.
on Thursday, then we did it. Like
yeah.
we never forced anyone. The update was usually made before in advance, but yeah, we just didn't want to break any promises, and we promised to do bi-weekly updates. So we did. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
the Pope.
and also
Was mad about that apparently.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
And our families.
other families.
And also one important thing, Michał Telhuren didn't want to release a buggy game, obviously, but mainly for a reason that we didn't want to get like bug reports, but we want to get ideas from players. This is what early access is for us, to get suggestions, feedback, and ideas rather than bug reports, because that's not the way it should. It's not the way it should work.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you so much for peeling back the lid a little bit to let us know. Shifting gears, Cymar and Flash 2351 asked, are there any plans to add more diversity in either the biomes or story or something in the story, like related to that?
So when it comes to biomes, I think we're rather satisfied with their current with how they work now. I mean, probably if we had more time and ideas, there's always you can always improve various things, and we will keep improving various things even post-release. But we were quite satisfied with that. There might be more, like in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we can tell you right now, and that's not a big promise that we can't keep. There will be some new stuff after 1.0.
Yeah.
And most likely there will be a new biome. In terms of expanding the existing
Don't
biomes,
clip it. Don't share it with
share
us.
it, clip it, whatever.
I was gonna say you've now spoken it into existence,
It's
so
it's
now
gonna happen anyways. But yeah.
Yeah, we just love the game too much not to
Yeah.
to keep working on it.
But we ideally we want every biome to be as interesting, for example, as Marshlands or as Scarlet Orchard. But at the same time, we don't really want to go back into the existing biomes and change them too much or give them too much identity, because the core of the game has to stay the same. For example, the Cursed Royal Woodlands are a bit more unique, so there's way less of them on the world map.
They are also a bit more challenging than other biomes.
It's a bit more like weird, challenging and weird in the sense that they change your gameplay. One part of the question was about stories. We never really tied stories into biomes, so that's not something we were thinking about. But future biomes will happen. A future biome will happen. Just heard it here first. It's on me.
I mean, we hope.
Yeah,
we hope.
Yeah,
There are a lot of factors we need to take into account, like mainly how the release goes. If we still remain friends, but yeah, but everything's on the good track, and we would like to add something more to the game after the release. We don't have any specific plans.
Yeah.
So we there's nothing we can share, like any specifics, when, what, but we are pretty confident that we will release something more.
Yeah, it's just like a general promise that we won't like abandon the game come release. It's still gonna be a bit, but we're gonna talk about it a bit later. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, excited to chat with you guys about that whenever we're ready to chat about that. So let's shift gears before we get more commitments along the way. Are there any plans to rework and enhance the tree harvesting tool? Mara Kua asked because they mentioned
we know what's it about. It's about that when you use the wood cutting tool, it marks the top of the tree rather than the base of the tree where the tile is. So it's sometimes a bit not it could be better, but we have a hard time with this because you're pointing on the top of the tree rather than the
markers.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
There are
we've
several
been thinking
issues.
about it.
Yeah.
We are thinking about it,
Yeah.
and it's on our it's in our backlog to
But
Awesome.
there
to
is
think
no,
about
no-
it more.
There's
under
no
shower.
plan to release it before 1.0, but we're
Yeah.
still having it in mind. And yeah, as Luke said, there's an issue with the pointer. There's also an issue with the colors in some biomes for the marked trees. We know about that. We want to change that, but there's a lot of other things on our minds. So let's hope.
Yeah, but we definitely know that people would like to see some improvement in this aspect.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Slimar also asked, is there going to be any changes to how... Oh, actually, no, sorry. Wrong question. Whimsy asked, what are the different kinds of win conditions you have put into the game that you are hoping to encourage players to do compared to what the players are actually doing that you've often seen like them do?
Yeah, the basic win conditions that I think players know about orders, about resolve, about events. So these are the main ways of acquiring, aside from the sealed forest, of course, acquiring reputation. And I think players are pretty. They understand those mechanics. They understand how to win a game, and they use those systems like we intended to. I think if we had more time, we would expand on them a bit more. Maybe introduce some other ways of acquiring, or a win condition tied to, for example, trading or something. I think one thing that we were a bit worried about, or still are, is that beginning players are focused heavily on orders when they should be focused more broadly on other sources of reputation. We tried to change that a bit. We tried to limit the amount of orders, the number of orders you can get. We tried to encourage you to explore more and gain reputation from other sources. But in the beginning of the game, when you're just starting out, it's a bit, I think, difficult to grasp that and to play around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been hearing it a lot. We have this bug reporting tool in the game, and from time to time we get this report that, hey, this map is unwinnable. I can't complete one order, so I can't get enough reputation points.
Yeah.
So players tie orders to winning the game, while there are also two other ways. So this is something that, we hope will change. Maybe with Aunt Lori. I think there were some new texts regarding the ways to win.
We don't want to give players all the answer on their face and just tell them what to do, but we want to encourage some other playstyles, and that's what we were doing with some hints, some dialogue with Aunt Lori, some tutorials. So I think it's still going to be changed in the future. At least I hope, but it's gotten better over time. So other than that, I think the ways of winning the game have been pretty clear, and people are enjoying what we designed for those objectives.
All right. This is now going to shift gears to really the release trailer that we just saw, where a lot of these questions are going to be tied around to difficulty and prestige. So Slimar asks, is there going to be any changes to how the difficulty scales in-game? They feel like the early game's, cozy, warm feeling to the game gets lost when the prestige starts ratcheting up.
Not really. We don't have plans for it now. The difficulty is designed in such a way that, at least that's what we hope players experience when they play the game. That if you want a very cozy and casual game, you can play the first difficulties around the Citadel. The first, the second one. When you get better, the third one I think is also suitable. But for prestige, we wouldn't want to make that more. How to say it? It's designed in such a way that it's like a death by 1,000 cuts, basically. It's something that if you want to progress and you want to push your limit in against the storm, then prestige is for you. If you just want to chill and play the game with a more cozy vibe, I think that's where you should be looking at the lower difficulties, or training expeditions, or lower difficulty daily runs. yeah, there's I think no. I mean, I'm sure there's no plans of changing that in the near future.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Also, I think the more proper way to look at difficulties, because we have 4 base difficulties and 20 prestige difficulties, is not that we have 24 difficulties in the game. We have 4 and 20 like additional modifiers to the hardest difficulty. So if you are playing on Viceroy, you're not playing on the 4th out of 24 difficulties. You are playing on the hardest difficulty without extra modifiers. So if you're playing on Pioneer or Veteran, it's totally fine. You're already in the middle of the difficulty of the beginning difficulty curve.
And we're trying to encourage players to play all the difficulties they want. No content is locked behind the difficulty gate. If you consider Prestige 20 modifiers content, like unique content aside from the typical, then sure. But there is no like new stuff that's waiting for you when you that forces you to, for example, take up a game on a very high difficulty if you don't want to. All the modifiers on the world map spawn near the citadel, so you can still encounter them. And we had some point in production where we tied difficulty to a very basically the distance from the capital was tied to difficulty very linearly. So you couldn't go down or up, you just could play one difficulty at one tile. We changed that so you could always choose something that suits your needs more.
And also, we are introducing something new for people who would like to see a new challenge. We announced it today. It's the Queen's Hand Trial mode. So something like an Iron Man.
Yeah, it's a special new mode for the Queen's Hand Trials. It's something that will be in the game with 1.0. And
people found out about it some time ago, like not very specifically what it is, but I think by mistake, the Queen's Hand Pauldron.
It was it wasn't really a mistake. It was a tease.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
We left that with Telhurin. We left that in the game, so people would still see it and think about what it meant.
Yeah, so now we can finally reveal that this is a new mode for the most experienced Viceroys. This is for the most experienced ones. Don't try it if you didn't do Prestige 20 before. Really, you don't do it.
Yeah, it's our, because for the last month or two we were focusing more on fleshing out the game, polishing it, giving some new players a better start into the game.
Yeah, the last 3 updates are tutorials and tips, guidance and lore part 2.
Yeah.
So the last 3 updates were all aimed at new players, and we didn't want the more advanced ones to feel like we stopped adding new stuff for them as well, adding new challenge for them.
So now the most advanced players who are not afraid of being punished and having a hard time playing the game, they will enjoy that, I think. We will talk a bit more about that in the future, but it's a special mode, as Luke said, an Iron Man style mode where it's permadeath. It's one run for, you have to reforge the adamantine seal in one cycle. You begin from scratch.
There is a cool question. How is the current mode not Iron Man? So the Iron Man in the context of the Queen's Hand mode is that because normally if you lose a settlement, you lose 3 years, or how many, or whatever it took you. In the Queen's Hand mode, if you fail the 5th settlement, you start from scratch.
Yeah, your profile gets deleted.
Yeah, you lose all the upgrades, you lose all the progression on the world map. You need to start from scratch. You need to get to the adamantine seal in one cycle. That's 96 years. Did we extend it?
92, yeah.
90?
It's the same as in the normal 96 too. Wait.
It's 96 with the last one. 92.
Ron says 92. Yeah, 92.
And
that's right. You have to reforge it in one cycle. You have a different. There is a different system for upgrades. So it's gonna be interesting to see how people approach it.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, you guys touched on a little bit about what the game's about. The Queen's Hand trial is about. So very excited to see content creators do it because I am nowhere near that in my own gameplay. So I'll be very excited to see our creators and those in the community take on that challenge and take on what the true end game I would say for the game, right?
It's not going
So-
to be me. I'm not playing on Prestige 20. That's too difficult for me. But
Yeah, I think it's even for us. It's hard on this mode. So
but Telhurin already beat it. So
Yeah.
we got one of the first questions we got after the announcement is that how can you win like Prestige 20 Adamantine Seal if you can't get all the upgrades and stuff? This mode is adjusted, so it's balanced to make it possible to beat the seal. It's not going to be like a easy task, of course. You start with 0 upgrades, you start on level 1, and you will never get enough Citadel resources to get all the upgrades. So we'll have to choose. You will have to create a build and maybe share a build online. What was your build when you become the Queen's Hand? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
But
it's-
it is beatable. It is beatable. It's
Yeah.
not a regular mode. It's just adjusted for this
g-
challenge.
Going to like more detail about the progression here. So the system for choosing your build, so your meta build, is going to be more draft based, like for example buildings in the game, and you will have from the get go you will have the most basic like gameplay extending upgrades unlocked. So you won't need to buy trade routes again. You won't need to buy the rain punk upgrades again. You don't need to unlock the foxes and so on. They're gonna be there. There's other things to unlock. I mean, the same things that you normally unlock in a normal tree, but in a different form. So it's gonna be a bit of a different balance, a bit of a different approach. all gonna
Two
see.
cool questions I want to answer fast.
Yeah.
Like Queen's Foot when? that's awesome. And the other one. So what happens with profile after you beat it? Progress carries over to main profile. You can continue playing the profile in normal mode. This is a very good question. So when you lose Queen's Hand mode, you get a little. You get something extra the next run, like a little handicap.
Yeah,
like
you'll get small
a very small amount
resources.
of Citadel resources. It's not that much to cheese it and lose on purpose, especially that there will be some limits
Yeah, there is.
to closing the seal profile, but for every failed attempt you get something a little extra. It's not much, but it should help you with the next attempt. But if you win the game, you get a cosmetic for your main profile.
Yeah, your main
That's it.
profile because these are locked in the Queen's Hand mode. But if you have on your main profile this last deed we hinted at from like 2 updates ago with the Queen's Hand Pauldron, you will be able to unlock that by beating the trial.
Right. Well, I'm very excited to see people play it because it's going to be a while before I get there myself. No matter how many hours I've sunk into the game. Is there anyone on the team on your side? Just to ask. No one had asked this, but I'm just asking. Is there anyone on the team who's like the undisputed best in terms of like?
Telhurin, Miho. Yeah, it's like he's the best. We won't even compete with him.
Yeah, but I am competing for the worst player, like with Mikołaj, sound producer. So. But we are here to ensure that people who are not that good at Against the Storm don't get bad experience when we release new stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You want people to be able to play the full game and build up to it, but also don't want to just like make it so hard that nobody wants to try it, right?
Yeah,
Like that's not great. I mean, there are obviously games out there that do that, but this is not one of those, So I appreciate because it's made it a lot easier for me to get into the game, and like I said, I'm really diving headfirst into it because I do want to at least hit the prestige levels on my own, but we'll get there one day.
Also, I want to answer one question regarding the Queen's Hand trial. Can you reject the handicap if you want to win the challenge fair and square? Even with handicap, you should consider it fair and square. But yes, like every profile, you can click on the reset progress icon in the main menu when you go to profile list. So it's a little less convenient. But yeah, you can, if you consider it fair and square, then this is how you can do it. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Yeah. So Spondonzi has asked, is there any considerations about being made with the Marshlands Colossal nodes being visible before opening their glades?
No, not really. We don't want to show them right away. There are systems for peeking through the mists to see what the glade contains, but that's not something we're actively thinking about in terms of the Marshlands.
Yeah, I think we mentioned earlier today during stream that we are pretty happy with where things are when it comes to biomes, their balance. Yeah. I mean, of course, like we always listen to feedback, and we never ever consider things final. Like it can always get better. So yeah, we'll continue listening, continue considering. But I think right now the majority of the team, the whole team, agrees that the biomes are in a good place.
Yeah.
All right. And this comes from the Zorker and Guy, which they are both saying basically that they love the world that you guys have created. If there's another style of game that you would potentially look to explore into in the same world, like is there anything in mind? Of course, like you don't have to answer this because that's obviously a bit of a loaded question, but I guess what they're really trying to say is they love the world you guys have built, and they would love to know if there's any potential other styles of game that might fit in this kind of world.
Yeah, let's
certainly, like we would love to explore this world a little bit more.
I know what Luke would like. What type of game?
Yeah, because I'm not sure if you read like the full question, but I really liked it. It was like in a magical world, what other game you'd like to fit?
Well, I was trying to be careful because I didn't want to commit, or I was just trying to make it as. But yeah, you're right. The full question.
I love this question. So the question was, what other game would you like to magically put into the world of Against the Storm? And I know exactly what kind of game that would be for me, and that's Vampire Survivors or Halls of Torment. I think I prefer Halls of Torment, but I would love to see Horde survival game in the world of Against the Storm. I would be playing it all the time. I think I would finally start to, take some days off just to play this game, like I used to play Against the Storm. So I think that would be cool. Horde survival game in the world of Against the Storm, where you go as a beaver, and there are axes around you, slaying
like teeth flying around you.
Teeth slaying. I don't know what can you slay? Wildfires, storm birds,
blighted infested moles.
Fishmen.
Yeah.
A lot of fishmen.
Yeah,
and what about you?
I'm not sure. I'm a big MMO nerd, so everything that can be made in an MMO is my jam. Funnily enough, Against the Storm only started the project. We had some very early ideas for an RPG set in this world. Thankfully, we didn't go through with it because it's just a lot of work. But yeah, I'm an MMO nerd. In a perfect world, I would play an MMO, but World of Against the Storm. But yeah. In terms of realistic expectations for the future, there's gonna be something with this world again, but
hopefully.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows what?
We'll leave it.
There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of
potential.
potential.
Yeah.
And I love suggestions from the chat. Against the Storm racing. Like
I mean,
Mario,
yeah, you
Mario
have to
Kart.
you have to beat the race before before the storm happens, or else
Yeah.
you lose the game.
Valheim
Right?
bot
Like,
against the storm. Yeah, that sounds good.
Valheim,
That's
yeah.
we've
oh,
been
that
playing
would
a lot
definitely
of
make Aaron
Valheim.
happy, I think.
Yeah, Valheim is
Uh, I actually would, the survival mode would be pretty fun. Like, what happens if you're a society that's so far away from the queen that like,
yeah.
what happens?
Yeah, that's cool.
Just
ATS Royale, ATS Royale.
Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Against the storm. Yeah, that
All
would
right,
be fun.
let's keep moving on. So, Cecilia has asked, is there going to be any kind of balance focused patch before the 1.0 launch?
Yeah, last patch we did some balance cleanups. This patch is gonna be a bit more of balance, so we can go into the next patch on Thursday.
Yeah, because the next next update is coming on November 23. That's Thursday, I think. I mean, I know it's Thursday, but I think it's
23rd, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's the 23rd. That's correct. Yeah.
Yes, so it's going to be called Modest Update.
Because
we
it's
wanted to
modest.
be frank because it's not that big, honestly. There's no like one big feature. Usually there was something in those updates, so this feature went into the update's name. This time there's a lot of smaller things,
Yeah.
including balance changes.
And
So
it's gonna be some balance cleanup as we hinted at in the last dev notes. There are some places in the game where we felt that some things could be improved before 1.0. There's not going to be any like big balance shakeups or big gameplay shakeups before we release 1.0, but we want to revisit some of the sealed objectives in the sealed forest to balance them a bit better. Some of some players in the community have noticed, and rightfully so, that some objectives are too easy, some are just safe pick always, and some are just very hard. So we're gonna take a look at that again. I mean, you have taken a look at that, and we're going to release a balance update for that on Thursday. There's also some rewards in the glades for glade events where there was orders, some balance for that, where some of the things were a bit, too one-sided. Some goods were overrepresented in the game. Too many meat and insect rewards, not too many other resources. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. And there are some minor balance improvements coming on Thursday. But yeah, nothing really major aside from the two things I mentioned here.
Gotcha. Okay. Small Bean asks, are you planning to add alternative looks for the buildings, decorations, or workers? Either soon or down the road?
this is a cool idea. We were
Yeah.
thinking about it. We're still thinking about it. There are no specific plans for that.
Yeah, it's. I'm even now thinking
It's
about it.
those are super hard questions because usually those are very cool ideas. Who wouldn't want more skins for their
Yeah,
villagers or buildings? But as always, those take time.
Yeah.
And so when we consider new features, we need to think about how would they fit the world of the game, the purpose of the game, the premise of the game.
And the mechanics, because some things are visually indicated, so so that would maybe add some noise. And the main issue is that we have a lot of things still to do, and our graphic designer Damian, who is art director, and every other hat you can think of in terms of art and animation and so on, is very busy. So in order to ensure like the top quality of art we all enjoy is Damian has a lot of work to do. So he's focused more on other things in the game, and so for now the skins are not really something we would want to add. But we were thinking about it even some time ago in terms like of cosmetic rewards, maybe some new skins for some houses. But yeah, it's really something we're planning on adding anytime soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Afan asks, why do lizards give tools as their starting bonus?
Yeah, because that's one of the when you first designed lizards, they were more they filled a gap in the balance and in thematic like areas of being more of a very aggressive race, aggressive species who would explore and scout ahead and so on. And now foxes fill that niche a bit better, but it still stayed with them that they are the more of the vanguard. They are like this species which is very hard to deal with. I mean, not as a player, but in terms of the world building and so on, they are a very resilient species. So they also work pretty well with some of the metal chains, not exactly in production wise, but they work good with like buildings that provide warmth, which are coincidentally sometimes the buildings that produce metal and work with fire. So we just, balance wise and flavor wise, we thought, okay, lizards are the species who are not afraid of going out there, using tools, solving glade events. It's not really that, unique as, for example, foxes with their abilities, but foxes were designed from the get-go to be the most like unique species in the game right now.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for that. So the Grinch asks, and I think this ties a little bit to what you guys mentioned about the focus on making sure people are able to make the choices that they want to make and how they approach the game. But how did you guys work to ensure meaningful choices were presented to the player, as they play the game?
It's a combination of our own like experiences with the game. We have some analytics, so we collect data on anonymous data, of course, only on like what you choose when playing. For example, is this blueprint picked a lot, or is this blueprint skipped often? And the same with perks and so on, and orders. So we know more or less from the data what is and what isn't attractive to players or used in some cases. We also read all the feedback. So when designing the choices in the game and balancing them, we help that data helps us basically. But there's also like this one issue I think that some players bring up, that some buildings and some perks and so on are not very optimal, not very good. And to some extent we want to change that, but we don't want to unify all the balance across the entire game, because that would be just boring. If everything is optimal and good, then nothing is optimal and good. So we would just we like spiky things. We like spiky perks that you use once in a while or every 10 settlements. That isn't really attractive as a choice right now. But for example, at some point you have a weird build and you use it and it's helping you out. So that's also a very cool thing we don't want to get rid of, even if the majority of players thinks that it's, for example, a subpar choice. But it has its uses, and the game is essentially also about playing with the hand you're dealt. So sometimes the bad choices create cool gameplay. Of course, the balance is never perfect. We always look at the data and try to balance things out, but we never strive for a perfect balance that is uniform across the board, because that would be a bit boring for the game, I think.
Absolutely, totally understand. You want people to make the choice they have to make, even if they're forced to do so in one way or another.
Sometimes
right?
the choices seem very suboptimal, but at the end of the day, you win a game choosing some weird perks, and you feel cool about the build you've created. So that's something I think very valuable for the game.
Right. All right. So we're gonna pivot now to the tail end of the community questions that we got before we dive into the Twitch questions. This is around the 1.0 and beyond launch. Schnoofel asks, is there any planned Steam Workshop support down the road?
It would be perfect, but not. We don't have any concrete plans for now.
Exactly. With all the other cool ideas, we would love them to happen one day. We cannot promise they will happen. We keep them in our minds, especially the modding support, because this is very cool feature for games. I know you've played a lot of modded Skyrim. So in general, we're not against modding. Like you can mod the game already, and we've been seeing a lot of mods already. Like maybe not a lot. We've seen some mods for the game, like the most famous one, Stormwalker. I don't remember the name of the creator, but I think we sometimes messed with his mod because we added things that he added before us.
The problem with Against the Storm for now is that we have bi-weekly updates. So any modder who creates something, their work has to be updated together with the game, and the update schedule is pretty tight. Maybe after 1.0, when things slow down, there is going to be more space for modding in general, and maybe that's going to be a moment where you think about Steamworks and so on a bit more seriously. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Steamworks.
And the shout out, I want to give the shout out to the specific modder for Stormwalker. It's Go For It Tomorrow. So
yeah, thank you
just
very
giving
much.
a small shout out there.
A lot of work put into that.
Yeah. Okay. And then Ron Empire, who's been pretty active in chat, they asked, will we get a fishing content post-release as an update or in form of
What a
DLC?
surprising question from Ron. Yeah. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Ron. Yeah, it will be cool, but we don't really have plans for that right now. There will be there's gonna be something about after 1.0. I can safely say that we're gonna release new content, but be it in the form of DLC and free updates. But I think we'll focus more on the content breadth of the game and more just things to do than shaking up the entire feature base. But yeah, we'll see. It's still we still have to decide on that. We still have to make some concrete plans about the future of the game after 1.0, and we'll let you know if there's any hopes for fishing content.
All right. And you kind of answered what are the plans roadmap for the post-release content, both Ron and Talnia asked. So stay tuned is what we'll say.
I don't think there will be a content roadmap. We had it for early access, but for the post-release, we're not that convinced. We want to stay more flexible, especially since
you guys had a
it's going to be a
pretty
very
rapid development process too, right?
And post-release it's going to be very long-term. It would have to be a very long-term planning, and we don't want to I don't think there will be a post-release content roadmap, but there will be something. There will be content.
So and there's still gonna be updates, of course. We're not we're not running away after 1.0 and leaving the game as is. There's going to be a lot of new players. There's going to be a lot of feedback. So we just can't promise you a full roadmap and this bi-weekly update schedule. And that's also because some players are waiting for 1.0 to be this, point in space and time where they can play the game as a finished product, as a full product. And we don't want to mess with that too much. We want to give you new content. We want to give you improvements, UI and so on. But at the same time, we want to, make it a bit more calm the entire schedule and give you some more time to enjoy the game and surprise you with some cool updates maybe or DLC. We'll see.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's always a great thing to hear. Like I said, you guys are definitely focused on the 1.0 launch and the immediacy after that, and then the holidays then hit, so it's a good time to sort out and figure out what's next for you guys. So yeah, let's move on to now the Twitch questions that popped up. I know we've answered a few questions here and there, but we've been collecting them from the start of the chat. Special C asked, they have a hard time explaining the game to others, which to them their closest analogy is Frostpunk, but even that is a stretch. They're wondering what games influenced your development philosophy for Against the Storm.
It's hard even for us to explain.
Like
when we first designed the game 4 years ago, and if the first line of code was written, we thought of it as Banished meets Slay the Spire, but that's a vague pitch. That's not really doing any of those games justice. It's hard to explain.
It really is hard. At events when we went to Gamescom or Poznan Game Arena or some other events with the game, there was no amount of words we could say that would describe the game better than just playing it for a short while. People immediately understood what the game is about when they get a chance to play it.
Yeah.
it's super hard to explain, and that's why there's a demo available all the
Yeah,
time. Like
yeah.
we want people to play the game before they make their purchase decision. Because as I forgot the name, but as the viewer mentioned, it is hard to explain what this game is about. I mean, it is a roguelite city builder. You play the hand you're dealt. There's meta progression.
I think
Mhm.
one of the most like important ideas when starting, aside from like the mix of existing games, was that this is this game is supposed to make you relive the first 2 hours of any city builder, but different every time. So that's why the
Mhm.
roguelike elements. It's not like we thought about mixing roguelike from the beginning. We thought about the problem, about this issue that you play city builders, they get stale after a time. You're deep into optimizing your cities after 10, 20 hours. And we just wanted to give you like a stop sign. Like, here's after 2 hours, your settlement, you won, move on to the next one and
Mhm.
build something different with different perks, different buildings. So that was the design goal, and maybe that's something you can say to explain the game to someone. But it's difficult to explain even for us.
Yeah.
But there was another part to this question. What were the games that inspired? And you mentioned Banish, you mentioned Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
I think Stronghold or
Stronghold inspired us also. I think in terms of like development process, it was mainly Slay the Spire and Subnautica because they had also like a crazy release schedule for early access. Also like many other roguelites out there and city builders. I personally spent all my like childhood playing Zeus and Poseidon, the old Sierra titles.
Yeah.
It was
Knights and
very-
Merchants,
Knights and
Kingdoms and
Merchants, yeah.
Castles, or also
Mhm.
some of the games.
Yeah, I think the first prototype of Against the Storm looked a lot like Kingdoms and Castles in terms of graphics. Yeah, I mean not to say that Kingdoms and Castles looks.
Oh, and of
basic.
course, art-wise,
Warcraft.
series
Mhm.
and League of Legends when it comes to
Mhm.
hand-painted,
Hand painted textures. Yeah.
fantasy
Yeah.
stylized textures.
That's
Yeah.
what we like the most. I mean, we are all in love with those hand painted, stylized
Mhm.
assets from early Blizzard and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've lost a lot of time of my life to Warcraft. I'll leave it at that.
We assume, and to World of Warcraft especially.
All right. Blattorn asks, "Little Grey Beavers when?" Which I think you kind of answered with the whole like potential skins
Skins.
and
Little Grey
cosmetic.
Beavers, maybe like alien beavers.
We have red beavers and blue beavers in the Cursed Royal Woodlands, so maybe
Oh.
gray beavers.
Yeah, right.
Gray little beavers. Who knows?
Maybe someday. When we designed new species, we most of the time we took existing species and just recolored them to a different shade, so to make them different in the early prototypes. So maybe.
Actually, Pervin, he's the platypus. He's like
Yeah,
a
he's
little bit like a gray beaver.
like a gray beaver with a beak, basically. Yeah, the stormwalker who brings your villagers. Yeah.
All right. Continuing the line of more kind of fun questions, Heathenist in chat asked, "Would you cook with Drizzle Water in real life?"
Oh no.
I mean, Drizzle is the green one. I think it's more safe than the yellow water. I wouldn't
Yeah,
cook
the
anything with
yellow
clearance
water
Yeah,
water.
would you
Isn't
just cook with
safe.
green water or yellow water? Like, what's
Don't
the
cook with
more,
yellow
you
water,
know?
please.
No clue, no clue. Stormwater is the safest. Then I think Drizzle Water. I would never cook anything with clearance water.
I mean, actually, from a lore's perspective, any one of those isn't safe because they're like grain punk is like uranium a bit. It gives you like this magical energy and so on, but it also is a bit toxic. But yeah, I would use green, not yellow, please. And don't eat yellow snow. Yeah.
I like those questions. This is a cool question.
Yeah, this is the real question.
Yeah, let's keep the fun questions going because, like I said, there are some mix of some of the other stuff that people have asked. But like Last Judgment also asked, which species would be the best at fishing? Which I think it's kind of given.
I mean,
Right.
the answer we will give won't imply that there will be fishing, right? Which species would be best at fishing?
I think if we had otters, that would be great. for fishing, but exclaimer, this isn't confirming that there will be fishing. um,
I don't know. Bears, but I can't
Bears?
see bears in Against the Storm. Like I can see bears.
like big, massive, like units, like
Oh.
twice as big as lizards.
maybe.
That would be cool. With those like fishing pants, like with those like long.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
That would be
Maybe.
cool.
I mean,
There
really,
was-
you guys can just say harpies just to upset everybody, as friendly-ish said, right?
Yeah.
Harpies are the best. They're the true.
All right. Red Dragon 1980 asked if people beat the new Queen's Hand mode after 1.0 release, is that kind of the end of the current lore content in the game?
Yeah, it's you will get some dialogue from Aunt Lori. You will get something at the end. Yeah, that's there will be some snippets of information, lore information. I won't say too much, but we never really like designed Against the Storm to have like this very clear path or story. So you are not really missing anything that is essential to your understanding of the game or to your, or the understanding of the lore. But there is also something we want to give to the players who play beyond Viceroy, beyond Prestige 10 or 15 seals. We want to give them something that is like a small snippet of lore, something interesting you can talk about on Discord or share on the wiki. So yeah, there's gonna be something there.
Got it. Perfect. All right, so we've just got 2 more questions left before we wrap things up. Goose My Biscuit asked, what inspired you guys to create the game in this specific genre that you guys have now like solidly created?
So as I think it was mentioned that it was supposed to be an RPG game at the very beginning, but
yeah.
fortunately the team was wise enough to realize that we were too small to create an RPG game.
Yeah.
And Michał did a really good job of analyzing the market and trends, and so he figured out that the city builders is a quite niche genre that is getting more traction lately, and so it also happened that all of us loved city builders.
Yeah,
All of us love city builders.
Yeah.
And so we kept the world we've built for the RPG game. Like we've built it. It was very at the very early stages. So it was only like the fundamentals of the world. But also the game was strongly inspired by one mode of Stronghold. I
There
think.
was a scenario mode in Stronghold where you had different like scenarios with some resources missing, and those scenarios would basically change your gameplay so much that the game would feel like a different game at some point. For example, you didn't have wood on the map, and you only could get it by trading, and so that was the first moment we thought, okay, that's an idea for a game. It was a bit of a perfect storm, pun intended, where we did some research about the market, that city builders are popular. They're pretty like compared to other games, pretty easy to make for a smaller team like our team, and they're also like emerging. And there's some cool city builders out there. There's still something we can solve, like a design problem, like I said, with the first 2 hours of the city builder, reliving it and playing it differently. And there was like this cool idea from Stronghold with the scenario maps with different resources, and that just all came together to form a pretty cool idea for a game. And as Luke said, thankfully we didn't go with the RPG. We went with the city builder, and I think that was a very, very good decision back then. Yeah.
All right. Just before I ask the last question, Ron Empire asked, is the Queen Hand mode unlocked for new players who buy the game, or do you have to unlock it after beating?
It's going to be unlocked after you beat the Prestige 20 seal for the first time.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes, so that we're not messing around. Like You
Mhm.
need to know how
You
to
need to
beat.
you need to know the game and how to take on the challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably for beginner players it would be very, I think, demotivating to play a game in this weird mode where you don't understand
Yeah.
anything. You're expected to be very good at it. So yeah, you first have to, you know,
Yeah.
really enjoy the hard parts of the game to enjoy this mode. Yeah,
Otherwise, you will
Gotcha.
be very disappointed.
yeah, and frustrated. Yeah.
All right. All right. So this is the last question we have, and I know we're a little over time, so this will be the last one. But Also in Games asked, how did you guys all meet and decide to make Against the Storm?
That's a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all
Yeah.
met 6 or 7 years ago in another company, and we
Or
were
some
working.
of us met like 9 years ago. even.
or 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only met you like 7 years ago. And
Yeah.
so we met in another company, another game dev company that was making social and mobile games. And we quickly got together, like we had common interests. We all were a little bit overambitious and wanted to make something more than we did only at work. We didn't like working on mobile and social games. Like I think I'm sure no one from our previous employers are watching this stream. We didn't really like working there. Like the predatory monetization mechanics in mobile and social games are terrible. We didn't like them. So we
Yeah,
wanted
but it
to.
was our first game dev job, so we took it and we wanted to learn game dev basically, and was
But
a good
but there
experience.
was a lot of good things we learned.
Yeah,
Like the bi-weekly update schedule.
yeah,
It
that
was like 100% taken from that company. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were releasing bi-weekly updates then, and it worked, and we learned to work in this space together.
yeah.
And so we we decided to copy to the
Yeah,
early
there's
access.
a lot of things we could, and basically anyone could learn from like
Yeah.
the mobile companies.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
really the design goals of microtransactions and so on, but the process of creating new content and the speed at which it is done. That's something we learned there, and that's still being useful for us to this day.
Yeah, so that's when we met. We started working after hours on a mobile game, but in a more traditional
Yeah.
design, in a more traditional way. It was a premium game. You pay once. You can play all the content.
Yeah.
And it was a small game. We didn't really. It was more like to test if we work together as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then our paths split a little bit.
Yeah, we
we
went to
went-
different jobs.
Yeah.
The mobile game we did wasn't really like successful because premium mobile games are hard to execute, and it wasn't really our like goal to create mobile games. We just wanted to see how we fit in, how we as a team can work, and I think that was a very good experience because when you have one game finished before you start a serious project, you at least know the team you're working with, and it's such a big gap in experience. And you know, if somebody has one project at least finished as a team, that's a very good boost to productivity, experience, and so on. It's that was a good adventure.
Yeah, and when we split, we went to different companies. We were working on both AAA games, on
Yeah.
indie games, on
Mhm.
AA games, and we got a lot of experience there working on PC titles. And so we took this experience and decided to make our very own
Yeah.
PC game. Yeah.
And in the beginning, it started as after hours. We're still working at different companies, and after hours, some of us were already like thinking about a new game and trying to create a prototype. And after the prototype was off. My headphones are falling off.
We took at some point the team took a leap of faith. We
Yeah.
started the company together. We quit our previous jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, we had good jobs. We met a lot of cool people, and I'm happy that we keep in touch. So this decision was especially hard.
Yeah.
To do something this big,
Yeah.
like start very own company, but it worked out, fortunately.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a life-changing experience, honestly. Like
Mhm.
really life-changing experience. I know we will be doing this for many, many years to come,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and this is very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool question. Like I mentioned, it was very
Yeah.
good one. Very good one.
Thank you for the insight. It's always great to hear how people get together, and you guys literally, it sounded like a perfect storm situation for you guys to make
Perfect
against the
storm.
storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
All right.
Great.
All right. So that's all the time we have today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for joining in and giving us questions to ask, both Luke and Aaron here.
Thank you.
Guys, I'm so excited for you guys that the 1.0 is just around the corner. Looking forward to the next 2 updates that will be coming along with it. And yeah, is there anything else you guys would like to say? Or
Sure.
oh, and sorry, will there be a dev stream, a regular dev stream on Wednesday
Oh,
for you
no,
guys?
no,
or
no, 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 no. Sorry, forgot to mention that. But since we're streaming right now, we've talked a lot about the new update. I mean, we mentioned it's going to be modest, and about the 1.0. There won't be a live stream this week on Wednesday. We usually do them on Wednesday. So here's my regular reminder that you need to finish your settlements before the update goes live on Thursday between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. UTC. This is something we aim for. Yeah, and I think we'll have one more stream before full launch or around full launch with you, Elliot. We are planning to do something together.
Yeah, we're talking about something right now. So
yeah.
stay tuned, everyone, on socials
Yeah.
about that.
And so yeah, the last message from us. I think this is the last time we have the opportunity to thank you all live for your support during early access. It's been an amazing time.
Yeah.
I think the game is in a very better shape than it was, even though we thought it was very cool already.
Yeah. I mean, developing this game with the community is like playing with cheats. I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah, it's super easy. Like it shouldn't be that easy.
Yeah, it should be.
So we want to thank you all for supporting us, for sending bug reports, for your feedback, suggestions, and all other ways in which you helped us, like just by talking to your friends about the game, sharing positive things about the game, letting us know that you like it. It means a lot. It helps a lot. It helps us stay open-minded, like happy with what we do.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing time. I'm saying it like we're finishing with the game,
Yeah,
but we're not.
We're taking all the
definitely
money and
not.
running away. We're moving to like a different country tomorrow. Like, thank you guys.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But things are definitely going to change. During this stream today, I was thinking at least a couple of times. Wait, there's not going to be bi-weekly updates anymore. What I'm going to do, like those bi-weekly updates, was my like I knew what to do. Like
It's like a
Thursday,
rhythm for us, you know.
Yeah, a rhythm,
Yeah.
a good thing. On Thursday it was always. Let's start with Wednesday live stream, Thursday
Yeah.
update, Friday hot
Hot
fix, yeah, and Monday planning, and it was a very cool rhythm, and I'm gonna miss it a lot.
It's still gonna be there to some extent, but you know, not the rhythm anymore. More of a free flowing process. But yeah, the last all this time we were in early access was just super cool, super. As I said, like developing a game on cheats, basically, with all the feedback, all the suggestions, all the bug reports, and so on. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have imagined it going better. I mean, in terms
yeah.
of the development efforts, all the reception from the players, and all the cool feedback we get. It's just super cool. Even if we don't respond as much on Discord right now because we're swamped with work, we'll read everything. It's super cool to read all the discussions, all the theory crafting about the Queen's Hand mode, and so on. That's interesting always. I love the lore of the game, and so more discussions about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was super cool, and we're looking forward to what's next after 1.0 with you guys, of course.
You
All right.
wrapped it up perfectly.
No, you did.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, so we dropped the storefront links in the chat. Reminder that version 1.0 is launching on December 8th on all storefronts as well as PC Game Pass. Again, congratulations, guys, for getting to here and to where you guys are now. Yeah, we'll update everybody on the community on what's next, especially with the stream. That hopefully we can do around launch time. But otherwise, yeah. Luke, Aaron, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for having
Thank
me
you
on
very
your
much,
stream.
Elliot, for hosting. It was super cool.
Yeah,
First stream with you, maybe more streams together. It would be
definitely
cool.
more streams coming up for sure. There's a reason also why I'm trying to get good at Against the Storm, because we need to showcase the game as well. So yeah, stay tuned
Okay.
for that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, thank
There
you
will be
everybody
more
for joining.
streams. There will be more streams. It's
Mhm.
not the last time we're seeing here.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for following us, supporting us, and for all your questions. It was a pleasure to answer them, especially the funny ones, where we got to get our imagination going. Thank you all. Have a great time with Against the Storm.
Thank you all.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
And Luke is looking for the stop stream button.
Yeah, where is it?
See ya.